President Donald Trump endorses Senate candidate Roy Moore, even though he has been accused by 9 women of assault. We'll have the details.
An 18-year-old California boy says he sexually assaulted more than 50 children. We will have the details.
And the struggling New York Giants part ways with their head coach and general manager. We'll have those stories and more next on Hofstra News Now.
This is Hofstra News Now. I'm Peyton Muse.
And I'm Brady Halblab. Here's our top story. President Trump called Alabama Republican Senate candidate Roy Moore to endorse his campaign today. The White House described it as a positive call, saying Trump ended the conversation by saying, quote, "Go get him, Roy." Trump fully endorsed Moore on Twitter earlier today, despite initially hesitating to do so in the wake of explosive sexual assault allegations against the Senate candidate. The Washington Post republished a report last month detailing allegations which Moore denies. Trump stopped just short of endorsing Moore late last month amid recent polls showing a close race. Alabama's special elections for the Senate seat takes place December 12th.
President Trump lashes out at the nation's top law enforcement agency just days after former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI and announces he's cooperating with Robert Mueller's Russia probe. Joe Johns reports.
President Trump once again attacking the credibility of his own FBI, calling the Bureau tainted and very dishonest, and declaring that after years under former Director James Comey, its reputation is in tatters. The president seizing on reporting that a senior FBI agent was removed from the special counsel's team last summer after internal messages were discovered that could be interpreted as showing a bias for Hillary Clinton. The head of the FBI Agents Association firing back, saying FBI special agents put their lives on the line to protect the American public, suggesting otherwise is simply false. Comey and former Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates also coming to the Bureau's defense, with Yates declaring the only thing in tatters is the president's respect for the rule of law. The dedicated men and women of the FBI deserve better.
A California man admits to sexually assaulting more than 50 kids after his mother turned himself into the authorities. Boston was arrested on counts of oral copulation on a child just under the age of 10.
Joseph Hayden
He was booked
Boston
into the
told his
Robert
mother
Presley
he
Detention
an
Center
8-year-old and a
with a bail
4-year-old
set
boy
at $1 million.
At the Simply Home Inn and Suites Motel after he befriended them and let them into his room. Boston's mother took him to a police station where he turned himself in.
This young man was, trying to seek help and doesn't want to do this anymore.
It was at the station, talking to detectives, that Boston revealed perhaps his most startling confession, according to police. He told officers he had molested some 50 other children. Terrible crimes.
An immigration processing center in Texas is on the border of reaching maximum capacity. The Customs and Border Protection Central Processing Center in McAllen, Texas is seeing more immigrants come through from across the U.S.-Mexico border than they have time to file out.
I get texts probably 3 or 4 times a week saying that the processing center down in McAllen is at capacity. It's at 1,000, 1,200, 1,300, and they're having to shut it down where no more people can come in, so now we're having to send them back to the stations.
The processing center is the middle ground before sending the immigrants to either the Immigration and Customs Enforcement agencies or the Department of Homeland Security. When the processing center reaches capacity, the Immigration Center pulls officers from the border lines to help speed up the process. This leaves the border less protected and allows more immigrants to cross boundary lines undocumented. The G-Men clean house, and we'll have that story after the break.
Just plain hot out there. So stay cool in your abode and keep your eyes on the road when you're traveling. Hey, it's this weekend a lot.
Every year, almost 40 children die of heat stroke after being forgotten in a vehicle. In 70-degree weather, it takes only minutes for the inside of a car to heat up like an oven. At 104 degrees, heat stroke begins, followed by loss of consciousness.
Yeah. Should go an hour and a half or so.
without your child, live without them forever. Look before you lock. Brought to you by Kids in Cars.
And the best kept secret in town is finally revealed. The Giants have fired their head coach Ben McAdoo and GM Jerry Reese. Team president John Mara announced his decision earlier today.
Franchise right now.
McAdoo was in his second season as head coach, and Reese was in his 11th season as the Giants' general manager. Yesterday afternoon, the Giants suffered their 10th loss at the hands of the Oakland Raiders. The team, led by Geno Smith, performed poorly, clearly missing the presence of Eli Manning, who rode the bench for the first time in 210 games. Mara was confirmed that the Giants organization has begun their search for a new head coach and GM. Whether or not Manning will play this Sunday against the Dallas Cowboys at home is yet to be revealed.
Colin Kaepernick surprised attendees at an ALCU dinner Sunday when he showed up to accept an award. The former NFL player received the Easton Monroe Courageous Advocate Award for refusing to stand during the national anthem last year. His protest inspired many other athletes to do the same.
We all have an obligation, no matter the risk and regardless of reward, to stand up for our fellow men and women who are being oppressed, with the understanding that human rights cannot be compromised.
Sports Illustrated will present Kaepernick with the Muhammad Ali Legacy Award on Tuesday. Kaepernick was also announced Monday as one of 10 candidates for Time's Person of the Year for 2017. Good news for East Coast Oscar fans. The 90th Academy Awards ceremony will start a half hour early. The pre-show is breaking tradition, starting at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the ceremony will kick off at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Jimmy Kimmel is hosting Hollywood's most anticipated event once again on Sunday, March 4th, 2018 at the Dolby Theater in Los Angeles. Last year's producer, Michael DeLuca, and Jennifer Todd are also taking over again this year. Last year's awards ceremony ran almost 4 hours long and did not end until after midnight. The nominations for next year's Oscars will not be announced until January 28th.
And Long Island's favorite day of heavy machinery returns to Huntington Station. Our very own Renee Ventolaro has more.
Big rigs, helicopters, military vehicles, all in one place. Over 5,000 Long Islanders gathered to explore these vehicles and more, all for a good cause. Saturday, November 9th at the Walt Whitman Mall in Huntington Station was host to just about every child's dream, to be able to touch, sit, and play with trucks ranging from police vans to even construction equipment. With more than 60 vehicles to choose from, kids and even adults were certainly entertained. Nassau County Executive Ed Mangano and WBLI and WBAB hosted the semi-annual Touch a Truck event. The event not only was a treat for the community, but was a way to collect non-perishable food donations for Island Harvest.
We have a variety of sponsors, one of them including College Hump. We also have PSCG, we have UPS, we have tons of trucks as well. We also have a helicopter, which is pretty cool. And on top of that, the admission is free, and we also accept food donations that go to Island Harvest that help 15,000 families across Long Island. So I just think it's a great day. Kids love it, families love it, I love it, and I'm sure you guys do too.
Island Harvest is Long Island's largest hunger relief organization. This nonprofit organization delivers food to over 570 food pantries across the island. Touch a Truck is just one of many community-geared events both radio stations host throughout the year. Events like these bring together one community for multiple great causes. I'm Renee Ventolora with Hofstra News Now.
That's Hofstra News Now. I'm Brady Halbleib.
And I'm Peyton Muse. Join us next week for our final edition of the HNN edition. Till then, good night.